We just had such a scare. We tried to check in, and then they told us that only nationals are allowed into the Ukraine. And they're like, yeah, we don't know if you guys can enter.
So this is the current situation. When COVID created the new culture of remote working, we thought there's no better time to travel the world while working remotely. Catch-22 much, as it has also never been harder to travel the world. But when our lease ended, we sold some things, put the rest in storage, and left our awesome flat in Cape Town, South Africa. But you see, traveling in the time of COVID, not easy.
We just had such a scare. We tried to check in, and then they told us that only nationals are allowed into the Ukraine. So they took us to a different area, and we had to stand there for like 30-45 minutes while they phoned Ukraine, and they're like, yeah, we don't know if you guys can enter. And then after a long wait and our heart beating so fast, they finally said that we are allowed to board. So we are on our way to Ukraine, and it has been a very stressful few days. Traveling in the time of COVID is seriously not that easy. So today is our first full day in Kiev, and they just went into lockdown, so we can't get food at any restaurants or sit down, so you can only get takeaways, and it's also quite limited. Somebody said you either get really good food or you get not good food, but the prices are so good. I mean, we got 2 croissants and a water for 120 Ukrainian currency, which is about 60 rand.
And our Uber trip was like 30 rand.
Yeah, and they say the internet is the cheapest, like almost in the world in Ukraine, well, the data.
It's like, I don't know, it's like 15 gigs, like, oh no, 12 gigs, 300 minutes of phoning, 55 rand.
This is the calmest protest we have seen in our lives. It is very calm.
Okay, hold on. So clearly we were still very ignorant about the history of Ukraine. At the square, Maiden Square, an event occurred, Euromaiden, which lasted 2 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, and ended in 2014. It left more than 100 people dead and 2,500 injured. Basically, the then president suspended the signing of an association agreement with the European Union, which would have allowed Ukraine to become part of the European Union, instead opting for closer ties with Russia. Ukraine was part of the USSR, Soviet Union, until 1991. It finally had hope and future for its children. Until 2014, when the president was on the edge of taking it all away again. All the citizens, old and young, protested every day in the middle of winter at this square to keep the future of their children alive. Netflix has a brilliant documentary on it called Winter on Fire, Ukraine's Fight for Freedom. So we immediately booked a tour on the history of Ukraine.
Times this very place was occupied by the big Lenin monument. Of course, you understand, for ideological reasons. The leader of the Soviet Union, and the Russian Revolution. So fed up with some segments of our population with the Soviet regime.
Kiev has the most diverse looking buildings. Beautiful buildings, and old dilapidated buildings that almost looks war-torn. Old Soviet blocks, and majestic Soviet government buildings in Stalinist architecture.
So this building behind us used to be like the Soviet headquarters in Ukraine. I'm part of the KGB. It's crazy to think all the things that happened in this building.
And right next to that, Baroque Russian-styled cathedrals.
so cold. They say it's gonna snow on Wednesday, and it is freezing. But we have no food again, and we are hungry. So we found a place called La Silpa, which they say is like a good grocery store chain, and going to go get some food for the week and water. Also, Jared is very cold because he didn't want to wear my beanie because he didn't want to look like a girl, so now he's suffering. The city is so interesting and so beautiful, and there's so many stories.
I'm not too sure. We're going to the
La Silpa?
La Soco, the grocery.
What is it?
Very hard to understand it.
Oh my goodness! Mocha? Mocha cream cheese.